in the fall has been full of good winners. Max Homa, Mac Hughes, Tom Kim train keeps rolling on. Keegan Bradley, Rory McIlroy, Seamus Power, and Russell Henley on Sunday. As the fall portion of the tour schedule begins to wrap, the focus begins to shift to next year, including Q School returning for the first time since 2012. In the latest Golf Central podcast presented by Callaway, Rex Hagen and Ryan Lavender debate if this will be good for the PGA Tour.
Starting next fall, Q School returns for PGA Tour cards. The top 5 players from Q School now have a direct path back to the PGA Tour. That's the first time in a decade, really, the tour is going back to this model. I'm a fan. You not so much. Why?
A couple things. So selfishly, personally, from a storytelling perspective, I absolutely love it. 5 grinders, 5 dreamers, 5 guys who have a hot week and make it all the way to the PGA Tour. Love that. From a purely objective standpoint, this does feel, Rex, like a bad move. When you think about it, this is an ongoing turf war with Live Golf. And to me, the PGA Tour should be doing everything possible to make the absolute best product. They've started to do that. Look, you have the elevated series now with all the best players. You have fewer guys who are guaranteed full status. I think both of those are good. Starting next year, you're going to see the top 10 players in the DP World Tour get their PGA Tour cards. A top college senior, hopefully a couple more, will get their PGA Tour cards as well. The goal should be to create the best membership possible. And to do so, you need the best body of work, whether that's a full season in Europe, full season on the Korn Ferry Tour with now 30 cards. Maybe it's the best college player. This isn't a huge number. I recognize that. It's just 5 guys, but it's not the best. I want the best body of work. You can only find that with a full season on the Korn Ferry Tour.
I'm going to go twofold as well, as I strongly disagree with you on this one. One is personal, one is professional. From a pure professional standpoint, the Q schools that I have covered historically in my career, going back to the day, are some of the most enjoyable events I've ever covered. Just from a storytelling standpoint, there's some of the coolest stories. Michael Allen getting through a few years, even Dustin Johnson, the year he got his card at Orange County National, there was so much drama to it. There was so much sort of delivering on, okay, this is a singular talent, but can he get through Q School? And he did it in just this wonderful fashion. And even DJ being DJ made it quite entertaining. So from a personal standpoint, this is just something I've always missed. I always felt like these stories are so good. The other side of this, though, is the professional element of this. Meritocracy has become weaponized this year, as you pointed out. Sort of whatever's going on right now between Live Golf and the PGA Tour, everyone on the PGA Tour side always leans into the idea that, well, this old school way is the truest form of golf. This is the meritocracy that we talk about all the time. You get to keep what you kill. In this particular case, it's if you play good over those 6 weeks or whatever that window is for Q School now, you can get in. So I like leaning into this, as well as what they've done with the rest of the cards. The DP World Tour now has a direct avenue, as well as the Korn Ferry Tour. Now, there is one hole in the argument that the PGA Tour has spent the better part of the last decade telling anyone who would listen that, look, it's a better identifier of talent over the course of 12 months if you put a guy out there on the Korn Ferry Tour, versus
that's
a
my
guy
point. That is literally my
point. Hot for 6 weeks. I'm totally fine with that, but I think in this small window, given where we are right now in the game, I absolutely love the idea of giving these guys a few week, 3-4 week sprint, and 5 guys, you get to earn your way directly over.
I'd love to see the retention rate of those guys who were then got through the Q School rate, and if they stuck on the PGA Tour. And look, there have been big names. You think back to when this Q School was back in its original form. Ricky Fowler was back there. Billy Horschel. Those are players who ended up getting their PGA Tour cards, and obviously they've stuck around for a very long time. Other than that, though, you have a bunch of dreamers, guys who got hot just 1 week of the year, and then they struggle on the PGA Tour, and then they're back on the feeder tour. I understand it. It's great. It's dramatic. These are grinders. It's a meritocracy. They can dream big and end up achieving their dreams. I don't quite buy the argument from Korn Ferry Tour President Alex Ball when she released this information just a couple of months ago. She said it would be, quote, exciting for our fans. I want to see page view numbers for these guys. I want to see streaming numbers for these guys. Do golf fans actually care, or is it just a cute little story for a day or two, and then it goes away, and the PGA Tour focuses once again, as it should, on its star players?
I think this is going to be limited to the hardcore fans, just like it would be just the way it was the last decade with, only the hardcore fans are really paying attention to the Korn Ferry Tour finals. However, those who are paying attention probably got an early look at Scotty Scheffler or Will Zalatoris. They had an idea of how good these players are going to be. This one is too good. You know what? We're going to pick this up on the Golf Central podcast presented by Callaway Golf. There's more here.
And you can catch the latest episode of the Golf Central podcast presented by Callaway wherever you get your podcast. But, Eamon, let's continue this conversation. Q School, I loved it. I never understood why they did away with it. I think I understand why. It's because to get more attention to the Korn Ferry Tour season. I understand it. But you want to talk about tension and storylines. Joe Daly, we still talk about the putt bouncing off the back of that cup. Tim O'Neill coming so close for so many years. J.B. Holmes, a medalist. Bill Haas making it by one. I mean, these are the stories that I still remember 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
If you talk to veterans who've been out there for a long time on the PGA Tour, who went out there from the 70s onwards, Q School still brings back traumas. You see them twitch at the mere mention of it because that had meaning. We talked earlier about having definition to the fall. That's when it had it, when you were actually literally playing for the right to earn a paycheck the following year, much less for a paycheck in and of itself. And to me, that's exactly what the fall needs. Plus 5 cards coming out of Q School next year, that you're not taking away any other aspect of how guys can make their way onto the tour. The guys will still make their way out there through the Korn Ferry Tour, through the season-long race where they've proven themselves and seasoned themselves. But there is no reason not to have that kind of opportunistic grab as well, where somebody can get hot for a few days and fight their way through. There really isn't much between ecstasy and despair at Q School, and we've seen plenty of it over the years, and I can't wait to see it again next year.
Why it makes it so compelling, especially juxtaposed against some of the silly season events, to have that tension, that final Jeopardy feel of Q School, and knowing that there will be tears, literally tears, on that final hole, and dreams dashed and dreams and goals fulfilled. I mean, listen, a PGA Tour life is very comfortable, and it's very, very hard to get to that level. And to see the joy and pain is really the DNA of sports in so many ways.
And I know we had live streaming of the Korn Ferry Tour final round of the qualifying tournament on Monday. I would love to see just an overwhelming coverage of Q School next year. Get Steve Kornacki off of NBC, MSNBC, put him out there, give us the various permutations that are working out, because that is real golf. That has real meaning and real impact on people's lives. And they're not thinking about money or paychecks or Masters invites or FedEx Cup points or anything else out there. They're literally fighting just for the right to go to work. And to me, that makes for a pretty compelling addition to the fall schedule. Don't understand why the tour ever took it away, but I'm glad they're bringing it back.
Very glad Q School is coming back.